G'day guys, how are you? Now, one thing that I was offended by was the comment that perhaps a podcast was some sort of attempt at an ASMR video. I do not even know what ASMR stands for. I only learnt of what ASMR was perhaps 2 months ago, maybe even less. And I physically cringe when I watch anyone do an ASMR video. I find it embarrassing. Am I supposed to be masturbating to ASMR? Am I supposed to be relaxing? Is it supposed to be sexually stimulating or sexually suggestive? I have no idea. Does the internet not know the level of porn available to people these days? Absolutely amazing. I'll do an ASMR video and there'll be a repeated stroking motion. That's what I think of ASMR. But where probably, populist culture and history fail to meet up is the bridge of intelligence in between. And the bridge which is paved by curiosity. And what there is, and I've tapped into this. I've spoken about this before, and it's been suggested that some of the sort of ancient knowledge that we've lost to the ages in relation to, bloody religion trying to, claim that, it all started with them, and they just sort of basically wanted to get rid of any sort of knowledge prior, and they had the sort of burning of the books and things like that. But there were some very smart civilizations in the past, and that's why I think they put a lot of what they did into stone, because they knew that lasted the test of time. And if we look at the Sumerian culture, which is, I think, where modern day Iraq is, there's so many tablets. I think there's, I don't know if there's thousands or millions, but I think probably more likely hundreds of thousands. But everything's sort of documented. But there's some churches, and there's been some studies into frequency and vibration and the effect that has on the body. And it goes further than that we look at all the cultures, and we look. I like to look for similarities across religions, because I'm always on a journey for truth, and if I'm looking for patterns of similarities, and one thing that I've seen is, and which I've also, it's always bro science here, bro. I've seen it on TV or I've seen it on YouTube, But also what I like to do is apply my creative intelligence, which I think is next level. But, I think I'm of just, above average intelligence. I'm no rocket scientist. But creatively, may not be representative in my body of work that is my YouTube channel. But I think when it comes to business ideas, this, that and the other, even as a youngster, I'd spend time, in IP Australia, which is the Intellectual Property Office, doing patent applications, I forget the term. What did I used to always lodge? You've got a provisional patent application, and yeah, when you apply that level of and I believe creative intelligence is, that's where new ground is found. I always sort of wonder if I did apply myself at school, and look, it's just an impossibility. I wouldn't have been able to do it, and I would have, perhaps loved to apply myself to like science. The ability to, think beyond the pyramid. And anyways, that's enough self-indulgent bullshit. But yeah, basically, with these ancient cultures and putting stuff into stone and studies in relation to frequency and similarities across religions. Now, what I want you to think about is that religious meditation where they do that or you look across when they go all that, like those frequencies they put out and those consistencies, those meditation rants or whatever they call them. And there's some science behind like healing of the body with frequency. And what I mean by that, I don't know what modulation. I think it's like altering of that frequency when you modulate the frequency. I don't know, but I'm getting a bit out of my depth there. But basically, the power of frequency. If we could imagine a bridge, or probably something easy to imagine would be let's imagine a plank of wood, spanning a gap, and we put some objects sort of on that plank of wood. Now, if I was to sort of move that bridge slowly up and down, or if I was to do little ones very quickly, like at some point on the spectrum of frequency, I don't know what, on the band of frequency, I think it's called, there would be a point where the frequency affected onto that plank of wood would have the most dramatic effect on those objects. Actually, I don't think the objects matter. I think it's it's probably a bad analogy because what I saw on TV was when they were applying this to a bridge. So if you wanted to put the most destructive power into that bridge, there's a frequency that you've got to tap into. And I think when they were studying it, they were looking at suspension bridges, particularly the one in, is it San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge? And yeah, they were sort of, showing that bridge in earthquakes, and then they were sort of doing other studies, and, that they were just basically displaying the power of frequency. And I don't know if these two things were in the same documentary, or if I've just created that bridge. But I love looking and delving into ancient alien theory. And they've come, and with our reference to that meditative that they do, that frequency, it's perhaps suggested that there's stimulation of the body, and it can have a healing effect. Now, further to this, there's a church somewhere in Europe, I'd say, that they actually have all the different frequencies. And they didn't know they had all these The way in which it worked out, this is, just how amazing and how much knowledge has been lost through these stupid fucking religions, pushing their agenda and burning all the books and, you know, getting rid of all those that came before them and any evidence of thereof, is there was this ark that went over this church, and there was all these symbols, cut. Or what do you do? Cut. You don't carve into stone. Do you? Stone carving? Yeah, I guess you can. So you'd have this massive arc that went over, and there are all these shapes, insignias. Well, I'm not sure what you'd call them. And for the life of anyone, no one knew what the fuck they were. It was just lost to the age. No one had a clue. Resonance, yeah, that's another one that they reminded of now. Frequency modulation and resonance. I think resonance is the effect of. Anyway, like once again, bro science, but what they discovered with sort of modern speakers and things like that, what they did is, you've probably seen it when they have a big piece of paper and they put sand on that paper. And when they go through the notes and the spectrum of sound, each time they play a different note, what would happen is a certain shape would appear. Now, what there was is, however it worked out, there was that aha moment where they realised that those shapes that were etched on this arc of this church were actually the patterns that certain frequencies would have. So perhaps there's a whole lost, division of science in relation to, frequency and, frequency healing of the body, or, who knows what effect it has. It's even, pushed in these ancient alien theories that's perhaps how they, and this is getting out there, perhaps how they stimulated and moved heavy objects. Because, although everything has the illusion of permanence and being, of a solid state, I think if we look at it break it down to an atomic level, everything has a fluidity. And, at the atomic level, I think that is affected by frequency. So at some point, much in the same way we can, bring down a bridge with a certain frequency, at the atomic level, the frequency will have an effect on that atom. And you can stimulate those atoms. So that's, the what I'm getting at. And what I do is just encourage you to research that topic. It looks very interesting to me. I don't know how this thought got into my head like just tonight, but yeah, I think I'm going to look into that tonight. So yeah, look into frequency. And one of my favourite things to do before I go to bed is, look at ancient civilizations and the world's prehistory. It's just exciting to me. And, I'm a massive science fiction fan. And I think this is truly, like, for all you little movie makers out there, I think, we haven't even begun to touch, the quality of films that we're going to watch in the future. And, it's just another thing that I've spoken about, earlier today, the dumbing down of society. And, if they can make snakes on a plane and that can make it to the cinema, you know, veganism has got an opportunity. You know, we can make something entertaining. Now, I've had like what my advice is for Freely, and I think the best way in which veganism can be pushed. I think she's in, and I could be wrong here, you know, but I think she's in a cycle of an abusive relationship. If we look at last time when they broke up, you know, he was with, you know, another young fangirl, and this time he is with another young fangirl again. I don't want to make any assumptions, but you know, if you can put fucking two and two together and come up with 22, you know what I'm talking about. And I think it gives her perhaps not a chance to move on. You know, you've got this drama tied up, and you know where I've found some sympathy for Freely, and although she's done, you know, this, that, and the other, and we all fucking know, but you know the difference between Freely and yourself. You know, you act like a fuckwit. You know, it's not all it's not all over the internet, and we've all acted like fuckwits. But you know, some of us are under a hotter microscope than others. Now, what my advice for Freely is, because I want the best for veganism, but I'm also embarrassed by veganism, and I'm embarrassed by a lot of vegans, particularly I think the ones that can potentially bring down veganism is, I guess there's two traditional strains of thought, and it's like you're either for their animals or you're here for health reasons. I'd perhaps encourage vegans to look at it as part of an environmental solution and a key part of, you know, environmentalism. You know, I was a vegetarian between 15 and 21, and I used to always laugh about, you know, a lot of Greenpeace activists wouldn't be, you know, vegans or vegetarians at the time. Vegan was just a cult too far. But yeah, it's sorry, I fucking lost my train of thought there. But sometimes I get it back, and I think I was talking about Freely, and where I was sort of coming back to is, I think, you know, yeah, that's right. You know, being veganism being part of a, you know, a larger culture, and what has sort of, look, and I can't hold it against them. You know, their age, their immaturity, but you know, these get upset girls have just fucking gone too far now. You know, like I'm sort of embarrassed by it now. Like I was one of their strongest advocates, you know, like, and really I was probably just selfishly using it as an opportunity, and using them as a tool to improve veganism. And but you know, I'm sort of embarrassed where it's ended up, and you know, I can't stand going onto a YouNow broadcast and, you know, or any of these sort of forums, and they're talking about fucking ice cream and just shit that doesn't matter. You know, isn't that like a Facebook saying shit don't matter? And you know, it's just a general, what I'm upset about is just the ignorance that I see in the vegan community. You know, people will label me this, that, and the other, but they won't invest the time into watching the videos where I explain myself from A to Z and give, you know, all my reference tools, and I encourage those, you know, to confront me with some sort of argument. I'm never, here to say that I'm never wrong. I always fuck up, That's life, and that's how I learn, through making a mistake. But, you know, I worry that veganism can be somewhat of a fad diet cult, and, these fucks are chasing an aesthetic and clean skin, and, they're almost, a part of it is damaging, to the fucking greater good, to the greater cause. And I want Freely to evolve because she's quick to label people handbag basics and all these fucking labels, but I want to see her evolve from, what could be described as a vegan basic. I think you know, if the shoe fits, and, you know, throughout life, I think we have to grow, develop, learn from our mistakes. Like, if she can come through all this drama, right, all this bullshit, all this negativity, to the point where she can't voice her opinion on her own channel, she can't keep the comment sections up through, fear of persecution and hatred. And at some point, if you've got half a brain, you've got to say, hey, where have I gone wrong? Where have I fucked up? Do I need to take a break? What's next? What's beyond veganism? And what my advice to Harley would be is to, and I've said this to him for quite a long time now, that he should open an online bike shop, right? And then he could open a chain of, workshops, somehow tied in with maybe tied in with some sort of distribution. If he loves Chiang Mai, set up a shop there, or, something like that, But while he's still got a scrap of credibility left, right? Because that guy, doesn't matter what you fucking think of him, personally, when it comes to bikes, he knows his shit backwards, and that's a skill, that's an asset, and I think that's his, you know, that's his skill set. At some point you don't have to get a job. No one has to do anything. No one has to take any of my advice. But it's quite funny. I find, like, I haven't been working now for how long? 4 months. Fuck, time flies. But, I really want to, make it happen. So I'm going to jazz up the old resume tomorrow and, start getting back into the game. And, it's, I achieve more, I think, sometimes in life when I'm working than I do when I'm not, It's just a way of applying yourself. And I think, mental illness, people are more susceptible to mental illness, when they're not working and their mind just has too much time to wander. And with that said, at what point did anyone, we are all slaves, we're paying off, remember the global banks lend money to government at interest, that's why we're all paying taxes, we're all paying it off, we're all, slaves without shackles. Fuck, I got lost again. So, back to that working week, at what point were we put on this earth for 7 days and some idiot said, hey, why don't we work 5 of those 7 days? So I'm going to do 5 days. I'm going to they're my terms and conditions. At the job interview, they're going to lay out what their terms and conditions are, and I'm going to lay out mine. And on my second week, I'm working 4 days. That's it. Take it or leave it. I'm a massive, science fiction fan, and to the point where I do, a fair bit of writing, and a lot of it's in my mind. I play with the same old scripts, and never going to do anything but what I had come up with, and I came up with my own genre, like science faction. So I take elements of truth and flesh it out with bullshit. And what I had identified was that in the workforce, people are inherently lazy, and you know, there's some people who are go-getters. Like, I would have liked to brand myself and just sort of workaholics and just smash it out, and they're addicted to the kill. That was me. But there's a lot who aren't, and even myself, I'd waste so much time at work. And at some point, does big business wake up to this? And just this one concept, and I don't mind handing out a concept here and there. It's the film you put around it, and if you've got, you know, you can have the greatest idea, but if a bunch of idiots are putting it together, it's just going to be a shit movie. And basically, I came up with a concept whereby, and this is what I love about science fiction, that it's bro science. You can have an idiot like myself coming up with all sorts of futuristic concepts, and yeah, and I don't know if I've touched on, the fact that I've been into futurism, from a very young age, to the point where there was, futuristic book on futurism with all the graphical displays of biodomes and this, that, and the other. And another book that I used to hide in the primary school library, and they became for my exclusive use. But yeah, I came up with this concept of scientists had, identified what people's maximum focus time was, what their maximum efficiency could be at work. And it was something ridiculous like, 2 hours with a break of X, and so companies went away from, employing people all day to sit around, and, companies now, in this sort of futuristic scene that I'm, painting, will employ you for 2 hours, okay? So you work, but, you have, and it's also proven from these studies is that they have to be somewhat applied to your, perhaps let's say you have 3 jobs a day, you're going to do 6 hours, right? And, you may have one job that sort of sucks, one job that's okay, but then one you're truly passionate about. And it just would be a way of enriching people's lives, and it would be a win-win situation, because that, working time is brought down to 2 hours. There's going to be a lot more jobs, and yeah, just a futuristic concept. And I don't know if I can even remember where I was to tie all this back in. Yeah. I can't tie it back in. I apologise if I went off on a tangent, but yeah, my advice to Freely, did this all come from her being in an abusive relationship and having to break that cycle? Because basically that's what she's got to do. She's got to break that pattern of abuse. She's got to evolve beyond veganism. And I think with her base, how true it is, because I think you can pick up a lot of, oh yeah, I'm subscribed to Freely, yeah, totally, but they may never watch any of her videos or take in her message. But I think, I don't like the United Nations. Let's just put that out there right here, right now. And the United Nations is built on land donated by the Rothschilds. Do your own research. I'm not here to educate. I'm just here to illuminate. Or just place a spotlight on some of the bullshit, and you can go and research it for yourself. But I'd love to see Freely work. Her ultimate goal should be some sort of United Nations humanitarian ambassador or something like that. I'd like to see Freely's ego, brought down to size, and, you know, almost like her disrespect for human life. And yeah, I'd like to see her work with, this is what I want. Cut the bullshit, Chris, spit it out. All that money they're getting, take Ness, Freely, hire a female camera lady, right? So you've got 3 girls sort of, going through Africa, or, and maybe a security guard, but, higher security at a local level, right? So it's going to require a little bit of planning, but you've got 700,000 banana bitches who can, do something for you, and utilize that network, use the power. They could plan it all for you. They could probably even, get it funded. But anyway, utilize the resources that you have. Become one of your 700. Stop fucking, thinking you're the grand sum of 700. But anyway, go to Africa, do some conservation work. So, you can do conservation work and learn about how the animals tie in with their ecosystems. Look at the bigger picture, the bigger picture towards planetary health, but don't. And then I want you to see some of these sort of camps, or the poverty, the famine struck, look at doing some, water programs, and you're going to have to put, vegans, and it's going to have to go to the back step, because you may come across some people that are eating meat, but that's all they've fucking got there at that time, and you're just going to have to learn to keep your mouth shut. Stop using this fucking, it's for the animals. You lose credibility every time you mention some bullshit about the animals. Let your actions speak louder than words. Get over to Africa, do some, conservation. Do some humanitarian work. Humanize yourself freely. Come up with a clothing brand like Kathmandu that specifically, like, it's an active wear, multifunctional active wear for women, so you can, on a cold day, you can, go down to the beach, the park, whatever. But then once you work up a bit of a sweat, you can, take some parts off, or it's just got some sort of trick feature to it, and, get these clothes made up, do your documentary, that's what you're wearing throughout Africa, and, yeah, just see some sunsets, grow, because you've been caught up in this bullshit, this fruit fuckers, and all this all this dogmatic bullshit. You've been flat out a cult leader. That's the fucking truth of it. Do you want to look back in 10 years' time and go, oh fuck, like, and I'm sure you've had amazing friendships and amazing times, but, like, I've been ignorant at points in my life, and then, I've been fortunate enough to, live in a day and age where we've got, the greatest reference tool the world's ever seen. You want to know anything about anything, it's all there. So get over there and make a documentary that can go, like, beyond YouTube, that you can sell to, the people who are still watching TV. Vegans are smart. We're on the cutting edge of shit. We're on the cutting edge of diet. We're on the cutting edge of science. And, whereas a lot of people are just eating their meat and 3 veg and, TV dinner, and, and they've plonked in front of the couch for the night. And that's going to be the case for a long time to come. So to reach the masses, to reach those that suffer from carnivore dementia, make a real fucking documentary that can be consumed by the everyday person. You even mention the word fucking vegan, I suggest it would be a mistake. Drop Banana Girl off your name. Become Freely. Name that women's clothing range, like, name that Freely, or name it Free, or something like that, and use this opportunity to break free. Like, you're not even capitalizing on the distance you could gain from leaving an abusive relationship by, wanting to protect Harley, or manage his sensitivities, you know, because you probably have been a mother to him to a degree, because we all know how sensitive, those with hard exteriors are, you know, and and that's like, when, Harley talks about his violence and all this sort of bullshit, once again, it's that sort of scared dog syndrome. The scared dogs are the ones that bite, And I know this intimately. And yeah, it's move on, like break free. And yeah, call it break free. You know, come out and admit to the vegan community that, fuck, you're only human. You make mistakes. There's so much pressure on you. Like, freely, I can barely manage having 500 subscribers. You know, I could only imagine what it's like having 500,000. You know, apologize to everyone and fucking move on. Because what a shame to lose everything that you've got just through wanting to fight people and having your ego, inflated. Sometimes you have to, rebuild the platform, and, you have to go backwards in order to go forward. So, knock the fucking, banana girl building down. You want to build a bigger and better, house, and you're going to need a stronger foundation. And I suggest, go to Africa, learn some fucking humility, do some humanitarian work, understand, veganism's, part of, you know, environmentalism. It's the least we can do. And I think, did you steal that off me? Illusions of grandeur. We all fucking have them. You have one idea, so do 10,000 others. But I truly think if you, brought all that together and set out to sort of, it doesn't have to be you educating the world as the guru. Sometimes, is it possible to replace statements with questions? And that's a level of humility. It's you want to be humble in the jungle, and it's just a better approach. Like, you could go and educate everyone through this documentary series, but also at the same time you're asking the questions, you're learning, and in turn we would all be learning from. Stop having to be the. When you're not in a cult, you're not in a pyramid scheme. You don't have to be the know-all guru, because we all know that you don't know, and it's embarrassing that we know, but you don't know. Like, I do cringe a lot, and I really think that society is you're all as dumb as shit. There's intelligence is the exception rather than the rule. It's just sheeple. There's not there's hardly any original fucking channels out there. You're doing PewDiePie video. Like, how embarrassing. You go from mukbangs to PewDiePies. What's fucking next? You're ripping each other, off of content. You're stealing ideas. Fuck you guys, You're lucky I don't come after every single one of you. It was suggested to me today. But, yeah, and there you go. Someone will run off with that. Good luck to you. But once again, now, to finish off, what have I got? 0. Be respectful of the audience. This video is made so you can do your dishes, do the kitchen, do the laundry, whatever you're going to do. It's giving you the freedom. And I'm watching all these channels starting to get just the anyway. I've got my own issues with public opinion on a private forum. Anyway, see you later, fruit bats. Contact me, Ness.